In just a moment, I'm going to bring on our colleague, Jane McGonigal. She is going to offer the first of our 10-year possibilities for the future of learning. So in each of these, the goal is not to be predictive, but rather to be provocative, to make us reflect on the assumptions that we have today and why and how we approach learning, and then inviting us to imagine what if we did it differently. In this case, what if every course you took, every skill you acquire, every credit you earn was geared towards preparing you to help society solve a specific, urgent global problem? Jane, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Wayne. Hi, everyone. I am so excited. We are going to practice a little bit of mental time travel now. So we are considering ways that the future might be different. It is time for us to fire up the time machines in our imaginations and actually try to go visit one of these possible futures and really look around and ask ourselves, how would I feel in this future? What would I do? How would I try to help myself and others? And so we're going to do a meetup of what we call a future scenario club, which is like a book club, except instead of discussing different books, we discuss different future scenarios. And I'm going to start us off by hosting a little scenario club in the style of Urgent Optimist. Now, if you are an urgent optimist, shout out in the chat. If you aren't an urgent optimist yet, let me tell you, this is IFTF's public membership program, and we are a community of 1,000 amazing futures, thinkers, and imaginers worldwide. And this is a program for everyone who's interested in developing their future imagination skills, discovering new scenarios, and also using their own voices and actions to make a better world. Foresight practitioners are welcome, but it's not just for the pros. Everyone is welcome. And the reason why we are practicing our urgent optimism together is so that we can face the biggest risks and most urgent challenges of the future with more hope and creativity. So we can develop the next level imagination skills to confidently say that no future is unimaginable or unthinkable to us. And also, so of course, we can use those future imagination skills to create transformative, positive change in our own lives, in our communities, and in the world. You can find us at urgentoptimist.org or just look for the app because we have an app. And Scenario Club is something we do every month. Let me tell you about Scenario Club. Of course, if you're new to future thinking, you might be asking, well, what's a future scenario? I like to think of it as a destination for mental time travel. So it's a detailed description of a particular future that we might wake up in, where at least one thing is dramatically different from today. And what's special about future scenarios is that they give us a way to take mental time trips together. So instead of each of us imagining our own different futures, we're all going to imagine the same future and give us a common destination. So we can really tap into the power of collective imagination and see the future from each other's points of view and really develop empathy for other people's futures. When we fire up this time machine, we go to the scenario, we're going to look around and we're going to ask some important questions. But the most important question we're going to ask is, what actions would we take in this future to adapt, to help ourselves, and to help others? There's a very important rule for a Scenario Club, which is that no matter how strange the scenario seems, we go with it. We try to accept that this future is possible and works as described. So we don't get into arguments about, that's impossible, that would never happen, I just don't think that's realistic. And it's fine if you don't like the future, right? We can still imagine it. If the future sounds a little challenging or I don't want to wake up in that world, that's fair. That's fine. But we're going to imagine that we woke up in it anyway. Now, what do we do to help ourselves and others? And if it makes us feel a little bit uncomfortable, that's great. It's a good sign that it's working because we have Scenario Clubs so that we can get practice at thinking seriously about things that other people would describe as unthinkable. So the scenario we're going to play with right now is called, Have You Declared Your Challenge Yet? And it's taking place at least 10 years into the future. We have a video to explain the strange new world to you. And then I'm going to lead you through a series of fun questions and imagination challenges so that you can start to answer that question. Oh, what am I going to feel in the future? What am I going to do? I'll stop sharing my screen so we can fire up that video for you.
Today, college students pick a major like biology, business administration, English literature, or political science. But what if, in the year 2035, college students no longer have traditional majors? What if, instead, they are invited to choose a grand challenge like climate action, ending poverty, gender equality, or zero hunger? What if every course they take, every skill they acquire, every credit they earn, is geared toward preparing them to help society solve a specific urgent global problem? What if every degree and certification program helps you understand the factors that created the problem, historical, economic, scientific, political, cultural, and prepares you to explore possible solution spaces and interventions, whether they be technological, social, financial, legal, or behavioral? Now college learning becomes much more interdisciplinary and purpose-driven. Instead of dividing students into siloed majors, colleges bring together learners of all ages, interested in all kinds of careers. These flexible learning cohorts come together and spend 1, 2, 3, or 4 years together developing the knowledge and skills they need to make a positive difference. Career pathways change too. Instead of careers being defined as an industry you belong to or a profession you practice, choosing a career pathway becomes more about deciding what problem you want to help humanity solve, whether as an engineer, mental health counselor, filmmaker, or whatever else you might do with your days. In this future, every learning institution and workplace is being reimagined in service of something much, much bigger. No one has to worry that their major is irrelevant or that they could wind up in a BS job. In this future, it's all hands on deck for things that really matter. Can you imagine what you would do in a world with grand challenges instead of majors? Let's take a peek into this possible future. It's that time of year again, late spring, and nearly 50 million college students and working learners around the world are getting ready to declare their challenge. It's an exciting season. Declaring a major used to feel like a personal decision, but declaring a challenge feels like joining an epic mission. The 10 most popular challenges last year were, in order of popularity, climate action, zero hunger, no poverty, health and well-being, sustainable cities, gender equality, racial justice and equity, ethical technology and responsible innovation, peace, justice and strong institutions, and zero waste production and consumption. In a few weeks, the global numbers will be tallied up to see how many learners each challenge has gained. All summer long, Challenge alumni will throw parties and meetups around the world to welcome newly declared learners to their global Challenge community. And it's not just full-time students who declare a challenge. Employers have started offering workers, as a benefit, the opportunity to complete an online certificate in the challenge of their choice. Workers are given 10% of paid work hours to dedicate to online learning in the next 2 years. People pay attention during challenge season, even if they're not in school themselves. It feels good, all those people dedicating themselves to something bigger than themselves. It gives the world a boost of hope for the future. This year, you're paying extra close attention to challenge season.
Thank you. All right. So now we're going to start to play with this future. This is Scenario Club, and we play. The first thing that I like to do when we play with a scenario is to make sure everybody can find themselves in this future. And the first question is simply, who do you think you would be in this future? So imagine it's the year 2035. Are you a full-time student pursuing a challenge degree? Maybe I don't think we have anyone on this, any 8-year-olds on this call, but maybe you're going back to school for a new degree or graduate degree. Would you be a trusted advice giver? Giving a young person who's declaring their own challenge some advice about how to approach that decision? Might you be a worker who's earning a challenge certificate and declaring a challenge in that way? Might you be a teacher, a professor, or educator working in this new challenge system? Might you be an HR or workplace learning professional adapting to the new challenge system? Or might you be a reformer trying to roll back the new challenge system or make it better? Because maybe you don't like this future. And so you imagine yourself in this future trying to, fix it or change it. I think I would be giving advice to my kids, and I would definitely be working to earn my own challenge certificate. And maybe if I was lucky, I would be teaching. I would maybe our local community college would let me design a challenge program for them. All right. So now we found ourselves in this future. I have a couple more questions for us. So the first question is, we like to play with scenarios just to sort of get some feelings out there. In 1 or 2 words, how would you feel if you woke up on the Declaration Day in the year 2035 and people are declaring their challenge? What emotion or 2 are you feeling? Let's take a look in chat. Oh, we've got purpose, excitement, feeling relieved and seen, inspired, excited, energized, happy, hopeful, excited, worried for students who might be underprepared, right, to make the decision. That's great. Or underprepared for the future. Connected, excited, elated. Okay, so it looks like a lot of positive feelings come up first, but some people still feel scared. Some people are concerned about keeping up. This is great. When we do scenario clubs, sometimes we partner off and have people with different feelings talk to each other to kind of get a different perspective, right? So we can challenge our assumptions about whether this is an amazing future or a challenging future. Thank you. Okay, so let me share with you just a few signals of change behind this scenario in case you're wondering, could this happen? Where can I look for information about places that might be trying something like this already? The first signal of change that inspired this scenario was actually a foresight project done at Stanford University at their design school in 2015. And they were looking at least 10 years out, and they had students and they had faculty and other educators and community members imagine over the course of a year the best possible Stanford University that might exist in the future. And the most preferred future that came out of that foresight project, they called it purpose learning. And they described a world in which Stanford students began declaring missions, not majors, exactly as we've described in our scenario. And the reason I offer that as a signal of change, a reason why this future might be possible, is that if people want a future, it becomes more likely, right? If people are willing to work to make a future happen, they're excited about it, that adds a little bit of credibility or plausibility. If nobody wants a future, maybe there's not that mission and momentum to make it happen. Another really great signal, if you're interested in this type of learning that you can investigate, is African Leadership University, or ALU, which has 1,500 students in Mauritius and Rwanda. And they do have traditional undergraduate degree programs, so they can get a degree in computer science or business studies, but every student also declares a mission that forms the content of their assignments and their fieldwork and their internships. And the challenges there are specific to the challenges expected to transform Africa for the future. So things like urbanization, they expect nearly 1 billion Africans to move from rural areas to cities by 2050. Another program, Real Learning Institution, that models, I think, the ideas in the scenario is Spring University, Myanmar, which was created to help address huge disruptions in the educational landscape due to the political situation there, and also the internet shutdowns, the government mandated internet shutdowns. And they're creating online learning spaces that can be used even when the power is out or even when the internet is out, as is often the case. And they are creating programs in schools that speak specifically to the challenges that the young people are facing. So they have a school on the Institute of Human Rights and Democratic Governance, a school of federalism and peace studies, and a school for movements. How do you design social movements? How do you create a generation of activists? How do you create change? And so thinking about changing what you need to teach people to meet the challenges of the moment. The last signal I'll share here was an op-ed that went viral on social media last week. When I saw this, it really reminded me of this scenario. The headline was "Productivity is collapsed because workers have lost hope." Some salient quotes from this op-ed that really struck a nerve and resonated with a lot of people. The reason labor productivity, GDP per hours worked, has been flatlining is because workers don't care anymore. Workers in almost every industry are jaded and disengaged. And this is backed up by a 2022 McKinsey report, which was not in this op-ed, but a sort of supporting signal that shows that more than 50% of workers say their work is not meaningful. So maybe we might get to this future scenario as a result of people really seeking more meaningful work, which might also lead to more meaningful learning. So now I want to invite you to help build our picture of this future with a little collective imagination challenge. So in this future where learners and workers are declaring a challenge rather than a major or profession, what is one course or a skill training or maybe a micro degree or community workshop or some other learning experience that you would want to take or teach? I'm going to give you just an example really quickly. In the Urgent Optimist community, we were considering a future in which citizens were asked to vote on geoengineering options, like might we try to block some of solar radiation to cool the earth. And so one of our members created a syllabus for the year 2033, as you can see here, that would be a course on writing and research focused on being prepared to vote in this election and really combating scientific misinformation. So what might we need to read and know about in order to be good citizens in a future where globally we're deciding to undertake dramatic climate action? So I'd love to see if you all have any ideas to share. I'm seeing some come in, which is amazing. Indigenous ways of understanding the natural environment, decolonizing it. Let's see, living without cars. Yes. Feminist AI, amazing. I don't know anything about that, and I want to. Fighting systemic lying. Yes. Reinventing accountability. Caretaking best practices, how to grow a local food crop. Wow, being an expression of the earth. I would be moved to take that. Global reparations. This is great. World without money. I immediately want to Google that phrase to see if I can find any more signals of change around that. Harnessing AI to improve emotional well-being. Oh my gosh, so many of these coming in. This is great. I'm going to personally download the chat of this scenario club session so that I can spend some time with these ideas. This is amazing. What we have just created, this list of things we might take or learn. I feel like we could take this to any school, almost at any level, including my kids' elementary school. And oh my gosh, I would love to see some of these things exist. Okay, that's amazing. You're all amazing. Invite Lonnie back, Lonnie from the last panel, to just riff with me for a few minutes, because, you know, a scenario club, it's like a book club. We have a little discussion. So Lonnie, get ready. Let's have our little mini scenario club. And then what I want to tell you is, what does this bring up for you? Where does your imagination take you for yourself as a professor, as a learner, for your students?
Well, you know, I have a 17-year-old daughter, and she's looking at colleges right now. And she says, you know, she's taking a molecular genetics class. She's interested in biology. She surprised me by that. But she's developing skills in facilitation and social justice and equity, and leading her Femme club at her high school, and, you know, is for queer liberation. And I'm like, wow, where does it all fit? You know, and I think the grand challenge is one thing that would be so great for her, to be able to expand her gifts in all these areas by picking a grand challenge. And maybe it's racial justice and equity, or maybe it's around, you know, climate change and biological diversity or something like that. And I just, you know, so my mind raced. I mean, I actually got teary-eyed when I saw the end of this, because, you know, I grew up with like films like Logan's Run, where it's a life of total pleasure, and then at 30 you die, right? So like, this kind of gives it a whole different twist, that there's a grand challenge, because everyone wants to have purpose in their lives, you know, and I think what I imagine my students doing is like working on these issues of, you know, how do we make more equitable economic aspirations possible for people. Like that would be so great, you know, in terms of racial equity, for peace solutions, climate change that they're worried about too. So, and you know, we've gotten in aspects of this in terms of pre-signals. We've had a cluster hire in our university around sustainability. So we were hiring professors in different fields, geology, geography, communication, technology, to come in as sustainability hires and
Wow.
work on this great challenge.
Wow, that's amazing. So there are interdisciplinary sustainability hires now. That is actually a really good signal of this future. I'm going to make a note of that for the next time I present a scenario. Well, Lonnie, you've shared so much with us already. Thank you for weighing in on this scenario and helping us by finding another signal of change for it. That is Scenario Club. We're planning to do this every time we meet up for a 10-year forecast live broadcast. So hopefully we'll see you in the fall for another round of Scenario Club, or join us at Urgent Optimist. We do this literally every month in multiple time zones so that you can come and hang out with us again. And I'm going to turn it back to my colleagues. Thank you everyone for playing and taking this time travel with us today.